To think that you're ever alone with these red days. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions, and finally AMC pulls back, and I don't mean that in a negative way. If anything, I'm down $4,000 on the day. I held 1,000 shares just like I told you guys yesterday, and AMC today pulled on back. Let's be honest. Are we surprised that AMC pulled back? No, right? I mean, be honest with yourself. Like, it came from lows of $30. AMC has killed it from lows of $30, and it hit highs of almost $52, or it did hit highs of $52. 63%. It did this in 2 weeks. It was so consistent, so bullish. It broke through that $50 resistance or $48 resistance, and it broke above $50 a share. This was a step in the right direction. And we did so well, right? You guys saw my trades, even with my Fidelity account, when I was going super heavy into AMC. And as we were approaching these overbought levels, I shared with you guys that, hey, I still want to partake in the action with AMC, but I just don't want to do it with 10,000 shares anymore. It's not a good deal anymore. It's a little bit more on the overbought side. Yes, I see upside potential, but I see a lot of pullback potential. So that's why I only stayed with the 1,000 shares. So this encouraged me to still have some skin in the game with the 1,000 shares. And trust me, it sucked, right? Based off of an 8%, 8.5%, red day, that's a hefty pullback. But let's be honest. When in 2 weeks, we gap up 60%. You really think I'm going to complain about the stock pulling back of my new 8.5%? No, it's part of the process, right? I'm still holding those 1,000 shares. I'm thinking about potentially reducing it to 500 shares. It still sucks to see a red day, but one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is I never want you guys to ever feel like you're alone. I'm here and I talk about my green days, right? Just like we did last week. I had an amazing week. We were having 20K days, 30K days, 20K days when I was heavily invested in AMC because the direction was in my favor. But guess what? When AMC begins to pull back and that direction is no longer in our favor, I still want to partake in the action, but I need to make sure that I tolerate, that pullback, or that I put myself in a position in which I can tolerate. So I wanted you guys to know that I hope that you don't feel a little under the weather. I hope that you don't feel down on yourself. This is part of the process, and I don't ever just want to talk about just the green days and when everything is just in our favor, but I also want to be and talk about the red days, right? It's part of the process, and why not talk about it? I want you guys to know that you're definitely not alone, and I'm still holding those shares. If you want to cut losses, all power to you. If you want to continue to hold, all power to you. All I'm here to share with you is the only people that freak out are those that did not prepare for the pullback. There are two other things that I wanted to share with you guys. The NASDAQ market has began to trade below the EMA line. This might not mean a lot to a lot of you guys, but we see this from time to time when the NASDAQ market begins to peak, right? When it hits overall highs, it peaks and then it pulls on back. It allows the market to kind of correct itself, to kind of breathe, and then it continues to rally. The market's more bullish than it is bearish, right? So this is a good thing. This allows a lot of tech stocks, since the NASDAQ market is made up of a lot of tech stocks, it really allows a lot of these tech stocks to pull back maybe for a couple of days. And as long as we continue to trade below the EMA, I could see the potential for this thing to sell off just a little bit, and it really allows the market to breathe. For those that are long-term investors, for those that are our swing traders, this is your time to shine, right? This is where you begin to load up on the stocks that you see a lot of value in and that you expect to make a recovery. So what am I doing to prepare? Two things. I'm paying attention and I'm creating an effective watch list for when the stocks do pull back. I can load up on them, right? So you can make your own watch list. And the second thing is, what happens when the NASDAQ market begins to pull back, right? Well, one of my favorite ETFs, just kidding, not my favorite ETF, but a very popular ETF, SQQQ, goes up when the NASDAQ market goes down. I want to make sure that you guys are aware that this is a very bearish ETF. It decays over time and it's triple leveraged. If you're an absolute beginner, if you suck at cutting losses, and if you're not the best at locking in profits, this is not an ETF for you. It's very risky, and you need to be very, very disciplined with your entry, with your position size, and knowing when to lock in profits and not being afraid to do so. Right now, I have about $30,000 invested into my SQQQ trade, and I'm up just a little bit over 1.5%. So I'm not up very much. I normally go in with about $100,000. The market's so bullish right now. I do expect the market to pull back just a little bit, So I will probably, instead of being invested with $100,000, I will probably only buy about $20,000 more, putting me at a total of $50,000 invested. I expect it to get rejected at the SMA line, just like we did last time and the time before that. And again, it wouldn't be much of a surprise if we get rejected there. So as long as the market continues to pull back, right, the NASDAQ market begins to pull back just a little bit more, this presents an opportunity, a short-term opportunity for SQQQ. Please, please, please understand that SQQQ is more bearish than it is bullish. It's riskier. And if you're someone that's just getting started or not the best with entries, exits, and risk management, stay away from this. It's the easiest thing I can say. The last thing that I want to share with you guys is, remember we talked about Lululemon when it was here at these overbought levels and then it pushed up due to earnings? I took a short position, very small, in Lululemon. $10,000 short position, and I'm expecting a little bit of a pullback. Again, Lululemon is very bullish overall, big picture, but it gapped up so much that I expect it to pull back just a little bit. I'm having fun with it. It's a very small position in comparison to what I normally trade with. So an example is, if you normally trade with $1,000, that's like you going in with $100, right? It's a fraction of what you normally trade with. I'm challenging myself. I'm trying to, explore different ways on how it is that I can approach the market. And this is just one way in doing so. If you guys have any questions about that short, please let me know. I will probably add more to that short position if and only if we begin to trade below the EMA and it actually gets confirmation of Lululemon breaking below EMA and correcting itself back to either the SMA line and or the previous support level of 380. Do I expect Lululemon to absolutely crash? No, right? Not at all. If anything, it wouldn't really surprise me if it just finds a support at $400 and continues its way back up to new highs. And if Lululemon begins to pick up and it breaks above this 440 resistance level, that's where I'm going to have to cut losses. So again, I'm just having fun with it. I'm taking into consideration the risk, but I'm also taking into consideration a realistic pullback just due to how quickly it gapped up and how it most likely will correct itself. But again, only time will tell. So let's make sure that we set our alerts on that. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I don't want you guys to be too hard on yourselves when it comes down to, how the market has been performing. A couple of different stocks did pull back today. Understand that, again, it's not just you. You're not alone with this. The market, the NASDAQ market, which has a big focus on tech, is pulling back. So please take that into consideration, and it shouldn't be freaking you out. You should just understand that that is the current direction right now of the market, but the market always tends to be more bullish than it is bearish. So again, with time, we should find a support and then make a recovery. But it's for those that prepared for this little pullback that are able to buy the dip, take advantage of that discounted opportunity, and then ride the recovery. So I hope that it earned your thumbs up. I talked about my AMC trade, I talked about the overall NASDAQ market, and I talked about my little short position on Lululemon. I hope that I earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing, and if you have any questions, feel free to share that down in the comment section. I will see you, if you're part of the Learn Plan Profit team, at Market Open for our live trading session tomorrow. And if you want to join us, that is going to be that second link down below. Until then, like always, let's make sure that we're in the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.